Listen, we're going to change gears and go to Sweet Home, Alabama with a guy that you need to know. This is a brother from another mother.
This was a cross-fostered boy.
Yeah, I'm sure he was cross-fostered in some point in his life. What do you think, Ron?
Oh, man, I've been crossed up so many times, it's unbelievable.
Well, hey, man, welcome to Shake, Rattle, and Troll, man. It's been a while since you've been on here, dude.
Yeah, it's been a while. I appreciate y'all having me on, man. It's always an honor to talk to the fellas out there at Shake, Rattle, and Troll, and let's get it on, man.
Hey, what's happening at TTI Blakemore? We had a great time with you and all the fellows from the Blakemore group. And
well, right now we've just got our 2018 goods getting ready to go on the market. We got a new thing called a Go-Go Runner, and basically what that is
a Go-Go Runner. I dated her.
Oh, nice.
Did you really? Nice.
Back in the 70s, I dated one of those.
Yeah, you can pick that up over the counter at Victoria's Secrets.
So that's what happened to you, huh?
It was the beginning of my downfall.
This thing's got a Roadrunner Pro 2.0 head on it, and has a prism eyes and an oversized hook and a hammered brass willow blade. But the unique thing about this is the body is a profile body, like a minnow profile, but the tail, instead of coming off straight off the body, it comes off with a 90-degree turn, and then there's a curl to it. So what that does is, as the blade turbulates the water over the top of that tail, it increases the action and the vibration and the sound, and it swims a little bit as it comes through the water. And in testing before we brought this out, it performed on 5 different species in one lake. Wow. So it's got its own unique style. The other thing is we put out some new. I know you got a lot of cat fishermen out there in Arizona, and we came out with new tube rigs. They're sticky tube rigs, and they come in a cam action true turn style. They come in a J hook with a team catfish style.
Hold on. You're going to have to. JK's getting that. Wait,
I'm still going back to my tail being bent at a 90-degree angle. I'm going to swim funny too.
Hey, that's how you can take care of things around the corner, man.
All right, everybody sing. You all know that song.
Sweet Home, Alabama.
All right, buddy, what else is going on?
Oh, well, we're just looking outside at a beautiful day here in Alabama, and all kinds of good things happening. Over at on the gun side, we're still doing the gun protect, molecular corrosion control for weapons and ammo, and still got that happening. And we're looking at doing some new stuff with it coming out maybe next year. Environmentally safe rust remover. You can touch it. You can touch it with your fingers. You can put it on your weapon and your ammo with your fingers and let it sit for about 20-25 seconds and wipe it off, and the rust comes off. So we're looking at something kind of cool there. And
what does that do for your blowing?
Sometimes it'll pull it off, especially if you have a real heavy-duty area of rust. Yeah, it will pull the bluing off, but would you rather pay for bluing or pay for a new gun?
Well, I get it. I was just asking.
Down.
Easy, buddy.
Sick 'em, boy.
Okay.
But it's all good, man. It's all good. How's everything out there? Y'all catching any big fish or not?
Well, the guys are, bass season. We're in the last throes of dog days of summer, so to speak. Talked to President Greg Kruger of TBF, and some of the Bass Junkie guys were down there. They had a good day on Martinez over on the West Coast. I want to talk about circle hooks because we just talked to Captain Bill that you know from the Malahini boat.
Oh, yeah.
And he's suggesting using circle hooks as opposed to some of the other stuff that's on the market for these yellowfin and bluefin. Especially the bluefin right now are being a little bit fussy. They're but repeat of last year. The damn things, they weigh well over 100 pounds. They're line shy. They're hook shy. And, they had one of the boats had 30 hookups on these bruiser fish. They landed 5 or 6, whatever it was.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what's your take on these circle hooks? As you know, most everybody knows me. I'm a Daiichi hook guy. That's all I use. Really supportive of Jennifer Duff, Labina Lures, the Rio Ricos. She's switching over to Daiichi Troubles for the poppers.
Sure. Yeah. We talked to her at the booth at the big show in Orlando this year, and we're working with her too. Now, the thing about circle hooks is there's two main things to remember about circle hooks. Number one is you never set the hook. You just wind down to them, and it'll auto set itself in the corner of the mouth. And the second thing about it is when the circle hook is in the corner of the mouth, it keeps the line and the knot out of the fish's mouth or the abrasiveness of their lips, especially if you're catching a bass or something like that on a circle hook. They have abrasiveness in the front of their mouth, and it'll wear the line down. And catching big tuna like that, you're keeping the knot and the line out of the business end of the fish. So all they're doing is basically chewing on metal. So it keeps it in the corner of the mouth. It's not something that'll put the line in fish's mouth where it'll wear it down and you get break offs. Now, the one thing about our bigger hooks especially our Circle Chunk Light hook and 7/0, that's the number one hook right now, and has been for 5 years or 6 years for tarpon fishing. They're the guys that are winning tournaments are catching 140, 150, 160 pound tarpon on these Circle Chunk Light hooks and a 7/0, and they're obviously in the corner of the mouth every time, and these guys are winning tournaments on it. So that says a lot about the sharpness of Daiichi. It's 80 carbon steel, and it's hand sharpened, chemically clean, and they're just really brutally sharp. And what the guys fishing for tarpon down these tarpon tournaments, they're doing very well. Now, we did sponsor a few years ago, we sponsored the World Billfish Tournament down in Cabo San Lucas, and that's all they used was our circle hooks.
Nice.
And we only had one that was one failure, and that failure came from basically cranking down on these big 300-pounders and with braided line, and the fish are just turning off real hard on to the side.
Yeah.
And they're popping them. So that was the only failure we had out of like almost 500 marlin. So
wow.
that's a pretty good average. Braided line sometimes is overrated on certain hooks. The strength of braided line versus cranking down the drag and yoking on these fish really hard puts a lot of stress on the hook, no matter who makes it or what type it is. So there has to be a little give and take on any hook, especially if you're using braided line, bass fishing or marlin fishing or grouper fishing in the bottom, whatnot, or amberjack. There has to be a little bit of give and take, and you can't just yoke down a drag with a hammer and expect something good to happen. So that average for us is really good.
Yeah, when we were back there for ICAST, Captain Mark was down there, and we've had him on the program. Good friend, awesome job catching these giant Goliath groupers. He was requesting a new circle hook bigger than what you had on the market. How's that coming? And what size categorically would that be?
Well, we're looking at 16, 18, and 20-aught hooks, and he brought us a drawing and a sample of something similar that he wants done. And we're working on that right now. We're working with the factories to accommodate what Captain Marco wants. Obviously, he is one of the most premier Goliath grouper anglers out there, and he's so good that the Florida Wildlife or Florida Game Fish Commission has hired him to do scientific studies and track them and whatnot. And he's that successful at doing it, and he's only successful to the extent of what he knows, plus using our hooks. And
exactly, yeah.
He's wanting something bigger so he can get even bigger fish, and he's already catching 500 and 600 pounders on our hook, but he wants to go bigger.
Hang on just a second. JK's getting that glaze. Let me put this into perspective for you. The hook that Ron's talking about,
yeah,
I can pull your Prius with it.
You cannot.
I can.
Well,
okay.
I tell you what, to be honest with you, JK, the hook that he's looking at us making for him would probably fit around the coffee cup.
Whoa.
Yeah, these things are huge, man. And
You could tow the Prius.
Yeah, I'm
That'd be kind of cool. Tow a Prius with your hook.
There you go.
Well, you could tie this thing to the bumper of somebody's vehicle and basically tow it. That's how big these things are. They're huge. And the really cool thing is when you get 80 carbon steel and you turn it into a hook that size, but the point is so sharp that it takes just very little effort to pierce a fish that size's mouth. You're talking a serious hook here, and that's what we're trying to develop for Captain Marco. And
well, the other
expand.
thing about that, Ron, is that particular mouth is a very tough mouth. A lot of gristle, a lot of bone.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Well, if you hold let's say a cigarette lighter in your hand, and you wrap your hand around that cigarette lighter, the fist that you make holding that cigarette lighter is actually just slightly smaller than the lips of a 500-pound Goliath grouper. So you've got to get through all that, the bone, the muscle, and that lip, and that's what we're going to try and develop for him.
Wow.
Big lips.
Yeah, it's serious. It's like pulling up a small Volkswagen from 80 feet below. You know,
Oh, yeah.
it's with fins, and it's amazing. I've caught a few in my day, and being from Florida and fishing down in the bridge pilings for grouper and whatnot, and hooking up with one of them big boys, it's boy, it can drop you to your knees. He's had some people pulled overboard before. These things are huge, and the bait they're using are basically 5, 6, 7 pound Jack Crevalle.
Yeah,
That's what they're using, So you're using a bait that big to catch that kind of a fish. You got to have a hook on the business end to perform correctly, and that's hopefully what we're going to do for him.
that is absolutely
That's incredible.
crazy.
Yeah,
All
well,
right,
you go
all
down
right.
there and fish with Captain Marco, man. You need to do it. You'll
Yeah,
enjoy it.
boy, that is on the top of my bucket list on sheet A.
I'd like to see old JK get pulled over and have him go. That's what I want to see happen.
Yep, JK on a rope.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Ron. Nice job.
I know.
Perfect, man.
Nothing but
Hunting
love for you,
season's
man.
coming soon. We got
Who?
hunting season starts 4 weeks for us, bull elk. We're out of here.
Oh man,
Yeah,
that's
man.
great.
Donnie's
I
going to
wish
be
I could
all
get out there
alone.
with you.
Oh yeah.
I'd like to be out there with you guys to do it, man, but we're pretty busy here. I'm barely getting enough time to do any fishing and hunting myself. I recently went down to Destin and caught some amberjack and actually got something off my bucket list. I got an amberjack on a fly rod, so that was
Oh,
pretty
cool.
cool. Yeah, it was about 25, 30 pounder, and it was.
You were
perfect,
on a
man.
fly rod?
Yeah, we actually went out of Destin, and there's a 65-foot hole out there that has a wreck on it. And the captain that I go with, he's been a great friend of mine for many, many years. And we went down there, and he pulls over the top of this wreck at 65 feet down, and he takes greenbacks and slaps the water with these greenbacks. And these fish come from 65 feet and start hitting the top of the water. So I was throwing a fly rod at him, and I got him on a 9-foot 9-weight. With a 10-pound tippet, and he had a fly tied up with a Daiichi hook, and threw it out there. It looked just like a greenback. It was, I had 4 on and broke off 4, and finally got the 5th one in, and we actually had some tuna running around there too. Almost had a tuna on fly at one time, and yeah, it was pretty exciting. That was some fun fishing, man. I hadn't done that in years, and I'd always wanted to get a bottom feeder on a fly rod, and I finally got a reef donkey and tore his butt up, and it took me about 20-25 minutes to get him in, but got him in. It was a beautiful fight. It was on a beautiful sunny day. It was glorious to have something like that happen and knock something off my bucket list with a Daiichi hook on a fly rod and catch a nice big amberjack. It was a beautiful thing, man. I got video of it. I'll show it to you guys sometime.
Oh, yeah, send it on. Hey, listen,
Oh,
we're
yeah.
going to kick you loose. We're going to wish you the best of the weekend, and good luck next week. We'll be in touch. Thanks for joining us, Ron. It's always a pleasure.
All right, guys. Bless you guys, and thanks for everything you do, and we'll holler at you some other time.
You got it, man. Ron Stalling, check him out. Daiichi Hooks, the world's sharpest hook.